Good morning, everybody. I'm Nicole Hennessy, Vice President at the Music Business Association. Thank you so much for joining us today for our kickoff session for the Music Biz Passport. This series will run now through the end of 2025. We're going to have conversations on Brazil and Africa, South Asia, France, China, Japan, and Mexico. You can find registration links for all of those sessions at musicbiz.org. Just click on the events tab and the Music Biz Passport link, and all those registration links will be right there. So go ahead and sign up for those upcoming events, just like this one. They are free for folks to attend. We're also not only working on Passport, but Music Biz 2025. That is our flagship annual event that you can attend in Atlanta from May 12th to the 15th. So it's coming. It's less than a month away. Plans are underway. Registration is still open. Musicbiz25.com or musicbiz.org and go to the events tab. It's a great program, a great way to network with folks across the globe. Historically, our conference sees about 2,200 global music professionals. That's about 800 companies in representation from over 32 countries. So I'm hoping that we top those numbers this year and looking forward to being in Atlanta with everybody. Today, back to this event because that's what you're here for. I want to thank BeatChain and Fourth Pillar for their organization in today's discussion. We're going to be talking beyond the noise, how data and AI are reshaping A&R in the age of streaming in emerging markets. You have a chat box. I see my colleague Aaron is in there asking you guys to introduce yourselves. This is a great place for you to interact with other folks that are here in attendance today. If you would like to interact with the panel, there's a Q&A box. That's where they're going to be looking for your questions, and questions will be answered at the end of the session. But if you have a question while they're speaking and don't want to forget it, put that in that Q&A box. They're not going to search the chat for your questions. They're going to look at that Q&A box. So without further ado, again, thank you all for attending. I want to thank BeatChain and Fourth Pillar and all of our panelists. I've been on the emails going back and forth. I think it's going to be a great conversation. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the famous Cliff Flute, who's going to moderate today's discussion. Thank you, Cliff. Thank you, panelists.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I hope you're well. I'm your chair for today's session. And the reason I'm chair is I've had the privilege of working with BeatChain for many years. I'm really excited to be here hosting this panel. Now, really what we want to focus on is the effect of new technologies and new platforms with regard to transforming A&R in the music industry, especially emerging markets like India. With a rapid growth in music streaming, the influx of new tracks daily, independent labels are facing significant challenges in talent discovery all over the world, but particularly in relation to these emerging markets. But technology offers really promising solutions to enhance artist visibility and support. So we're here to talk about how can cutting-edge tools and strategies help revolutionize the A&R process, and how can this empower labels to compete in this now globalized marketplace where emerging markets will lead the way. We've got a fantastic panel here today with people from the fantastic platform of BeatChain, from Art Disco and Radio City India, and from an artist, an independent artist who's been using these tools and these platforms as well in order to grow. So I'm going to throw the mic over to Luke to introduce himself.
Thank you, Cliff and Nicole, for the introduction. I am Luke Mendoza. I co-founded BeatChain back in 2017, and I am the Chief Strategy Officer here. Very excited to talk about the work we are currently doing with the amazing Radio City team in India. And I'm excited to talk about how data and AI are affecting the way that we find new artists in emerging markets. So now's probably a good time to hand over to Himanshu and Yash.
Hi, hello everyone. It's I'm sure in various parts of the world there is morning, and some part of the world it's afternoon. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Himanshu Shinde. I'm head of product for Mozart Disco. Mozart Disco is a music distribution platform which has been collaboratively formed between BeatChain and Radio City, India's one of the biggest FM radio network. And we have launched Mozart Disco just a year back with the whole intention of helping and identifying independent artists and give them opportunity to distribute their music across the world and not only in this country. I'm really happy and glad I'm part of this panel, and I thank the whole Music Biz Passport team as well as Cliff to have me here today for the discussion. Looking forward to discuss, learn, and exchange a lot of ideas today. Thank you. So I'll introduce Webby, who is independent artist on board with us, who is extensively using Mozart Disco and is been releasing music on that. So here to you, Webby.
Hey, what's good, y'all? So, hi, I'm Yash, and I go by my artist moniker YB. That's spelled VIBY. And I'm basically a singer, songwriter, music producer based out of Bombay. And I've been in the Indian music scene for around 7 to 8 years now, doing a lot of jingles, doing commercial projects, releasing my own music, working with a whole lot of labels and stuff like that. My music, I would say, is, as I like to refer it, is genre agnostic, as in I don't like to box it in a specific genre per se, but it's a whole mix of electronica fused with Indian classical vocals, pop, down tempo, and stuff like that. And yeah, I've been associated with Mozart Disco and Radio City for quite a while now. I've been releasing my music through them. And when the guys reached out to me to, come on board and have a chat about the Indian music scene, it was an honor to, be a part of this. And I'm looking forward to sharing my insights today and, answering all the questions that you've got. So yeah, just.
Great. Thanks, everyone. So, Lou, I'm going to touch on the big issue in the music industry across the world in relation to A&R and discovery. And we are now talking about crazy numbers with regard to the volume and scale right now. Over 75 million music creators are uploading nearly 4 million tracks every month. How do you see data and AI helping A&R teams to filter through this vast amount of content to really discover great new talent?
Yes, that is the challenge. And you're very right to bring up the scale of the issue here. We've definitely moved on from a world where A&R teams would scout local venues, sit in clubs, use just their golden ear to find the best sounding talent coming through and pair them up with their existing roster of songwriters. I think that era is somewhat behind us now, just with the amount of music creators that we're seeing and the amount of music that's being released. But what the whole world, but particularly Western markets, have yet to really do is really understand how to consume that data and make sense of it in a way that's actually meaningful and can lead to kind of ongoing success. So the main issue is just the volume. And it's one thing to see, and what we're tending to see a lot of is we see spikes happen where things go viral on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, and A&R teams get very excited, and we're seeing more and more often the artist, like, length of an artist's career is coming shorter and shorter and shorter, because we're seeing more and more artists getting signed to major label or big label deals off the back of sudden viral success. But what we're often seeing is that artist hasn't necessarily cut their teeth in live performances or lots of songwriting or all the things that are required of them to have a kind of long and sustainable career. And then they might get picked up for a track or an EP or an album, and then they really struggle to kind of grow from that moment of virality into something really sustainable. And so what we at BeatChain have been looking to do for the last few years is work out a way to kind of take in all of these signals, to consume all of this data, and to process it and make it usable for both sides of the coin, for artists and for A&R teams and labels and radio stations and management teams, to be able to understand what really good growth actually looks like and what a sustainable artist profile might look like. We've been building out a tool that can consume a lot of data and use predictive analytics based on what we're seeing to kind of show existing artists what other artists who are doing really well are doing well, and try and put them within a landscape where they understand what their digital footprint actually looks like and how they're doing compared to their peers. This has been particularly exciting in emerging markets for us, and the biggest market is India, really, in terms of both just in the volume of creators and the rate of growth in Indian music is unbelievable, and we're going to talk a lot about that today. Obviously, it's an unbelievably huge and diverse country, but on top of that, there's a huge penetration of new technology. So more and more people can access data and technology. They can actually start creating and sharing their music, and they can start to get it out there. And that's not doing anything to help the overall problem of millions and millions of new creators coming. But what it means is that there's this huge opportunity to really look at the industry with a more holistic view and try and understand what is making the best artists successful, what's making them stand out, and what footprints they're leaving along the way that other artists and labels and stations can follow to help the next generation have longer, sustainable, and valuable careers. So we teamed up with Radio City to build Moves Our Disco, with the exact premise being, how do we help an amazing brand like Radio City India find the next generation talent, real A&R. And what we came up with our platform and their expertise is basically a way of marrying the two sides and saying, we want to build the best possible home for artists to come and distribute and promote on, but with the explicit kind of buy-in being that everything they're doing is basically being monitored in a way that makes sense for what is needed from the industry, what's needed from radio stations, what's needed from labels, so that what they're coming to the platform to do is really, rather than just put their music out into the ether and then maybe run one ad, is to actually start to put the building blocks together of their career. And then our tool can process huge volumes of data and show them how they're doing compared to their peers. And as they do better and better and they grow more and more, Radio City have amazing opportunities to help their careers grow even more. And so we really want that kind of snowball effect to take place for all the artists that want to come onto the platform and work hard to kind of grow their careers.
Okay, thank you. Himanshu, let's talk on the macro regarding India. There may be some people on the webinar who know the territory well, some who know nothing, but there has been a huge rapid growth, which we will come to as well. But what do you think are the unique challenges that independent labels in India face when it comes to discovering new talent? And how do you think technologies can help overcome those challenges?
Yeah. So, Cliff, before answering this question, typically I would like to take you behind a few years where Indian market was and how the Indian music scene was earlier. So, India as a market was always been dominated by film music. And from last 50, 60 years, Indian consumers or music lovers, they always knew Indian Bollywood music or a film music. And was always there. Since last 5 to 8 years, there has been a huge crash in data prices. All the telcos, the major telcos have crashed their data prices, and that has given a very, very rapid growth on streaming, audio streaming, video streaming, and that has given birth to a lot of audio streaming platforms in the country. So with all this growth happening, with all this surge of data happening, we have also seen surge in independent artists. Now, independent artists, independent musicians, independent labels in the country have started mushrooming, have started coming out and the numbers are only growing day by day. So the research, I would like to put these numbers. So a couple of years back, when there was a research done by a famous research agency, they have said in India, on an average, on per annum, 20,000 songs are being released. 20,000 songs constitute of independent music. Just imagine that kind of volume which comes from this country. And this has different languages, different background, different dialects. So with the surge of all this thing, if so much of music is coming out, the biggest problem is identifying the artist, identifying and giving a discovery of this artist. That becomes the biggest challenge. Plus, with the small labels who are distributing their artists, for them, data points are very, very important, which many times they don't get it. So if there is an artist who's coming out from one of the state of the country, what where has that artist and his music has reached, that data points, many of the time the small labels or independent labels, I would say, don't get that thing. So with the help of technology, we can make that data available to them, that analytics available to them, which can help them to make the artist bigger and identify more artists in the country. So that is where the technology come into, and that can help lot of artist community or a music community, I would say, in the country. Plus, this can also help budding musicians. So as I said, film music was always dominated, but there is a lot of independent music which has come. Just one reference point I would like to give you. We come from the house of Radio City. So we are one of the biggest private FM radio station in the country. So just couple of years back or 3 years back, I would like to say, we used to play independent music once in a week. Today, the surge is so much that we are playing independent music show every day for an hour. There is a dedicated show every day across my 40 markets, and we are playing independent music. Apart from that show, but the popularity and the surge has gone so big that we have to start a daily independent music hour on our stream, on our radio broadcasting. So that is what which has happened. Again, when independent musician put their music on broadcasting, definitely there is no solid data which they can get. But the moment they put it on streaming platforms and through the distributors, they can definitely avail this data. And this data is very important for them to groom their artists. And this is where I feel technology will play a very, very big role in identifying and getting more and more analytics for the artists in this country.
Well, I think that's a beautiful segue, actually. Let's speak to an artist and get the artist's perspective. So, Yash, as an artist, what's your personal experience of navigating this modern music industry that Himanshu has described? And how has data and AI and algorithms, how have they impacted your journey as an artist?
Right. So, like Himanshu rightly said, right, that Indian music scene has always been dominated by Bollywood music, so to say, the film music, up until 2016, 17. So, the only way for you as an artist to be noticed was to get a film project or, be under the radar of these producers, directors, to, get a project on a film music or uh, maybe a OTT show or a TV show and stuff like that. But with the emergence of, the indie wave from the West, we were late to jump on the bus. India as a country, we were late to jump on the bus of the indie wave. And when we jumped on the bus, that's when the gatekeepers of the scene, which are the Bollywood film producers and the label owners, we started surpassing those gatekeepers and we started navigating our way as independent artists. Before the era of AI and whole data consolidation and stuff like that, while we were in the phase where streaming was just coming up to the rise, making music and releasing music was just like taking a shot in the dark. You didn't know if the music would be, uh, you didn't know what kind of audience would listen to your music, what kind of audience music is being expected by the the artists and stuff like that. So it was all taking a shot in the dark, right? But with the emergence of data and AI and platforms like Mozart Disco nowadays, you can absolutely, have a database of who is listening to your music, where are they listening to your music, and what kind of playlists are they referring to, get their day-to-day music. So it's very easier, or if not easier, it's very convenient for us to understand these points and then sort of, uh, implement it in our music making ways, and catering to the audience well, catering to the fan base well, and understanding all of this ecosystem well, because it's not about creating anymore, right? It's also about understanding the ecosystem, who you're creating for. So data and AI, I would say, has really been helpful in those ways for an independent artist, because all of us know, right, when you have a major label, when you're in a major label artist, you have a whole army around you who's doing all the stuff for you, right? You have a marketing guy, you have a distribution guy, you have a PR guy, you have a, whatever promotional guy and stuff like that. But when you're an independent artist, you have to figure out everything all by yourself. So with the emergence of data and platforms like Mozart Disco, who are, providing us with data in a very insightful manner, it has now become very easy and very convenient to, manipulate that data into our music and sort of push it forth and stuff like that. The next thing I would like to shed some light on is the whole fandom culture that's going on these days, right? The fandom culture is buzzing in the West also, and so in the Indian subcontinent also. So with the emergence of fandom, all of us, the artists know that the fandom is a really portion of our monetization aspect, right? We can, if we understand who our fans are and how we can, monetize that aspect, it's really a game changer for us. So with the emergence of data, we also understand who are the fans, what kind of music are they, vibing to, and what are the listening patterns basically, where are they based, what age group do they belong to. With respect to marketing also, when do I put out my reels, when do I put out my TikTok content, it is really essential to know who your fans are, and when are they consuming your music. So with these insightful things and insightful data that Mozart Disco kind of platforms provide us, it's really changed the game for us. And so to say, we don't really need the artillery of the major labels now. We can do it all by ourselves. I mean, the monetary backing is still lacking, sure, but at least we don't feel directionless now. We are able to navigate the ways on our own. So I think that's really a game changer in today's day and time. So yeah.
Thank you for that, Yash. So I'm going to pick up a theme on that and come to Luke. Regarding sort of data aggregation and analytics.
Yeah.
Yash has just given a brilliant example of how joining those things up means that he can connect to his fans and he can be more direct. But how can they play a critical role for artists and labels, for example, not just artists? And it'd be really good if you could outline how your technology at BeatChain can help in the sustainability, discovery, and reaching out to fans.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Yash brings up the biggest point for all of this and what our platform is trying to do, which is there's so much data available now, not just to the artists themselves, but more generally across the industry. You can start to see a kind of wider view of what people are doing. And what we tried to build is one platform that brings in many signals, that aggregates all of that data from Spotify, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, all their socials. And rather than just putting it all on a screen and saying, here are your numbers, we try to make it an actionable insight. And what that means is it's not just stats. We're trying to explain why something is working or not working. And I think that's important too. Like it shouldn't all just be, oh, this is your incremental growth. What we want to do and what we're trying to show is that to individual artists is here's what you're doing well and how you're growing, but also here are what your peers are doing. So for every artist that signs up, we find similar artists around them and we plot them basically within the tools so that they can understand, okay, I'm doing, compared to my peers, I'm doing really well on Spotify or Instagram, but I'm seeing that other people are playing more shows. They've got more followers on bands in town. They may be approaching this challenge of building up a career in a different way, and you can kind of see how their content's performing, and you can compare it to your own. And what our platform does, and what BeatChain's always tried to do, is we've really tried to be as agnostic as possible to all the technology out there and bring it all in. Anything which we think adds value and that we can access, we want to bring in and understand. And actually, in a world now where AI is becoming much more useful, what we're also finding, and this is particularly true of the label and in Radio City's case, radio station side, is that we have an insane volume of data. We have it from thousands and thousands of new artists every month on Moves Like Disco, but also on our other platforms that we're running in the UK and the US and South Africa. And as we look to build those platforms up, what we're seeing is that we can actually normalize and anonymize a lot of that data and kind of zoom out quite a lot and start to understand a lot more about trend analytics. And then you can really start to play with how we're looking at data and how we're finding things to be actionable. Not only that, but our platform also uses all that data to make artist life way easier. So we have some proprietary tech, which is an ad buying tool that we call Fan Builder. And what that does is it, for every individual artist, starts to understand what their fan base actually looks like and who is interacting with their music and how it's streaming. And what that we can do is, as artists have good content that they want to share and they want to, disseminate and get people to view, they can go to the tool and it will buy ads for them, but it will do it in a way which is much, much more cost effective and time effective than if they went to go and learn it themselves. So what our tech does is it builds audiences for them, and it, however much their budget is, whether it's $20 or $100 or $1,000, it will run each campaign against each audience, and it will automatically move that budget to the best performing audience for that content, which means that you're kind of guaranteeing the best bang for the buck, especially in that initial growth phase where you just want to get people who are really engaging with whatever it is you're making. And so what our platform's trying to do is make the life of artists easier, but also really give them that actionable insight. For labels and managers on the other side, they can see all of this happening on their platform, right? So for Radio City, they can actually track the ROI of all the different artists and the campaigns they're running. They can see the health of those campaigns. They can see how their fan bases are developing. They can see which ones are having spikes in streams, which ones are growing on different platforms. And there is a leaderboard within the tool, which helps us kind of give out prizes, these amazing opportunities for independent artists. But beyond that leaderboard and behind it, there's a lot more information that Radio City can access. And it gives them an amazing first mover advantage. And that's the big change here, is that you can wait for someone to have that viral spike and then you can go and get them on the one track deal or whatever it might be. But if you're seeing artists grow and develop and you've got a much wider view and you've got rich data that only you can get access to, suddenly you can make much, much better informed decisions. So in this case, we're not replacing A&R, we're just augmenting it. We're just saying that their gut feel is still amazing and they'll know how to get the best out of artists. But this gives them a much wider pool to kind of focus in on the best ones, or the ones that are doing things in a way that they care about. So it might be, in Radio City's case, they really want to find someone who's going to do really well across their FM stations in a certain area. They can see what it is that those artists are doing and really zone in on the ones they think are going to perform best. And then obviously we do all of this near instantly because it's all done with tech and machine learning and AI. So you don't have to wait for your team of data scientists to go in and work out what's going on and then come back and give you a report. This data is near live and they can access it all the time. And that just really changes the way that the power of analytics and the actual insight we can deliver now.
Okay, thank you. So I'll come over to Himanshu. So you've mentioned Muse Disco, which is the collaboration between BeatChain and Radio City. It'd be great to hear more about what that collaboration looks like and how it empowers Indian artists in this increasingly complex ecosystem.
Okay, so Radio City is primarily into radio business, and music is an integral part of our business. And from last 22 years, we are into broadcasting, and music was always on air, off air, was always one of the important part of our lives. So 5 years back, or 4 years back, when we decided to get into official music business per se, we wanted to start our own label, or we want to start get into a music distribution platform. That time, as I told you just some time back, the whole data insurge has happened, and a lot of streaming platforms has come on board. So there was also contemplation that should we get into an audio streaming platform, or what exactly should we get into. But as we were very much into music, we want to do something in music, as well as for independent artists, who has always been as one of the important part in our music policy of music broadcasting for independent artists. We want to do something for that. So a couple of years back, when Beachin happened to meet us in India and they happened to connect with us, the kind of compassion which they have for musicians and music industry, that has attracted us to join hands with them. And when we launched Mozart Disco, how we are able to change, or how we are able to empower the whole independent music scene, is there are various things normally in today's time and age, where independent musician who is there out there in the market, they have their lot of challenges. As I said, it is always the music industry is dominated with film music. So how can one individual independent artist put himself or herself across these cluttered film music and position themselves in that era of so much of noise, and a typical film music is going on. So here Mozart Disco and is helping them out to put their music out there very primarily and very efficiently for distribution. Secondly, there is not only film music in India, there are some 20 plus official spoken languages in this country, and some 1,000 dialects. So music has been created in various languages. With the help of Radio City, we have a network of 40 cities across the country, so which normally covers around 15 states and some 8 to 10 languages all put together. So we have a reach and penetration in each of these market, and we are giving opportunity to all those artists in those markets, deep interiors, tier two, tier three markets, and those places, we are giving them a helping hand and bringing them on Mozart Disco. This is what we are empowering them with our reach, and definitely help of the beach and technology which is on Mozart Disco. Secondly, infrastructure. Today, India has become one of the biggest digital economies. So when I say digital economies, basically people today in India, around 50 to 60% people pay through their mobile phones. They don't need cash in their wallet, they don't need credit cards. So major distribution platforms which are there in the country today, or were there, had only options of credit cards or a PayPal account or something like that. Today, with the digital revolution, we can have UPI payments, and this is what VChain has made it possible on Mozart Disco. So this has become one of the biggest advantage for one singer sitting somewhere in Patna, which is a very small town in central India. There, that person can distribute that music all through his mobile phone, directly through a UPI system. He doesn't have to go to any bank. He doesn't have to open any credit card system or anything like that. So that is something which is very important and which has brought on the platform. And thanks to Beachin's technology on that. Apart from that, when you make a music for independent artists, they spend their lot of time in making a music. But when it comes to promotion, they they somewhere lack experience, they somewhere lack guidance how to promote their music. with the help of a lot of advertising tools, AI tools which are there on the platform on Mozart Disco, these artists can have a one-stop shop for all their digital marketing for their music. They don't have to go to any digital marketing agency. They don't have to open any separate Meta account to promote their music. Only with the help of click of button on the tool on the platform, they can promote the music and get noticed and get distributed across. So these are some vital important features which Mozart Disco is bringing in the market and which is game changer for a lot of independent artists. And this is what we are looking forward to make best of it for more artists. Day in and day out, we're getting a lot of inquiries from a lot of our tier 2, tier 3 markets. And how can I promote my music? How can I get my music distributed? So, with the help of these features, we are getting them on board and they are empowered like that.
Well, let's talk to an artist. Yash, you've heard what Luke's got to say, you've heard what Himanshu's got to say. From your perspective as an artist, how important is it for you to have platforms tailored to the genuine realities of the Indian market? And can you speak to what impact Mozart Disco has had on your career or your relationship with your fans?
Surely. So Himanshu very rightly said that, Indian music scene is very different when you compare them to other countries because there's so much diversity, right? There's so many languages, there's so many cultures, and such a, the audience behavior is very diverse. So how do you navigate your, careers in such a diverse market where one size doesn't fit all the artists, right? So with Mozart Disco, you get the data points, you get the data as to who is listening to your music, where are they listening to your music, and all the essential data that is required to navigate your fans is being provided by Mozart Disco. And like Luke rightly said, not just your data, but also you can understand about other artists' journeys and how they have sort of navigated the industry and rise to the top. So that makes a nice skeleton to understand how the process works, and then you can follow those paths to monetize more and more for your music. So it's really about knowing who is your clan, who vibes to your music, and then catering to them in the rightest way possible. So I often say this thing, right? In the modern times, you're not just an artist, you're an artist entrepreneur. You make music and your job is not done there if you're an independent artist. You don't have a whole artillery or a whole army behind you. You have to navigate on your own. So with the emergence of platforms like Mozart Disco and with the support of Radio City, which is based in 39 markets in the country, so it's really empowering to the artist to make our music reach to the right audiences in the right time and navigate the way around. And not just that, Mozart Disco has been absolutely brilliant when it comes to distribution. But what I found to be game changer as an artist was the promo tool on Mozart Disco, right? So Himanshu just explained how the promo tool works. And when I first saw the promo tool, it really amazed me because I forget India, I'd never seen such a promo tool, such a tool, even in the Western companies. Like I'd been distributing a whole lot of music with CD Baby and a lot of companies, and I'd never seen this tool which helps you run your Instagram ads in a matter of just mere 6 to 7 clicks. And the kind of reach I got, I mean, to shed some light and to give out a few figures, I invested about 2,500 INR rupees on one of my reels. And before running the promo campaign on Mozart Disco, it had around 2K, 3K organic views. But as soon as I run a 2-day campaign with Mozart Disco for a mere $2,000, the reel shot up to about 350K views. And I saw a whole lot of engagement coming on my post. So this was really game changing. And when I, showed it to my peers, the musician friends and stuff like that, they were really amazed to see because we've worked with the labels in the past, right? And we had to go through a whole lot of deals that didn't put us in the right position to get these kind of numbers. But by investing such less money, getting these kind of numbers was really game changing. And with the help of Radio City being on board with Mozart Disco, they also gave us really fantastic airplays and radio interviews, and with the radio jockeys that Radio City has over the nation, and the kind of impact they have, kind of, fan base they already have, getting the support from Radio City was again game changing. So it is not, I wouldn't, say it's any less than a label. It's not just about distribution, it's also about understanding promotion and audience targeting, and furthermore monetizing. So Mozart Disco has also helped me monetize my music, right? Getting right sync deals, and getting right shows and stuff like that. So it's really a game changer when it comes when you come to look of it as a platform. So yeah.
Very impressed. Just a shout out to our guests as well, that I'll be asking them a few more questions, but actually we do want to leave time for questions from the audience as well. Don't put them in the chat. If you can put them in the Q&A box, that would be great. So Luke, let's talk to the future of A&R music discovery. How do you envisage the role of A&R evolving over the next decade or so with the continued advancement of these technologies? Because they're not slowing down.
No, I am very excited to see A&R evolve into a modern age, and I think the way that I see it moving is that the kind of things that A&R focused on will shift. I think what we're seeing now is that they can do less admin and data crunching, and they can do a bit more kind of career building. And that's the exciting idea. Almost going back to its old-fashioned roots, but now with a more global reach for who they can get their roster of artists to work with. My prediction would be that I think we're going to see more and more cross-genre and cross-cultural combinations of music as people and artists really, really want to start getting back into international touring and building their fan base outside of just their local community or their country, depending on how big that country might be. I mean, with India specifically, that can be cross-state. It's still a huge, various genres and languages and all those kind of things. But I think we're going to see a lot more focus kind of move away from trying to find things that have just spikes and sign them up to more kind of career building things. And I think the advantage of tech, especially with the advancement in AI, is that I think even with more and more people coming onto platforms and releasing more music and there's being more noise, I think there are better ways for them to be discovered, and that essentially what AI can really do is help identify the talent, the potential talent early, and then let the A&R teams and the teams that want to work with independent and growing artists really do the thing that they specialize in. And as I was saying before, I think it is about more kind of global scouting. People aren't going to be kept to just where they can get to, the local music club or what they can find on just their Spotify discovery. Now there are so many platforms out there in the streaming age, whether it's, whether they're going on SoundCloud or they're finding it through discoverability on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts, which we're seeing blow up. Suddenly new sounds, new genres are coming into the kind of the worldview of a lot of these people, a lot of these teams. And as that pipeline gets more diverse of potential songwriters and people they can work with, I think we'll see the way in which both artists tour and the teams around them work will shift to being more kind of appropriate for this modern age, and use a lot more of that background data just to help them make those early decisions and let them focus on other things. So yeah, that's what I'm really excited about. The last thing I would say is that I also think that we're moving, as Yash just said, from being artists just being artists to them being artist entrepreneurs and having to know so many things. And actually the way that modern music teams work is so much more varied, and we're going to see real hybrid systems come together about artists who also, brands and businesses in themselves. And the way that new artists get going now I know in India, a lot of it has come from Bollywood and the music film industry, but now they're starting to become seen more as influencers. Even at the beginning, they say micro influencers, but they can start to work with challenger brands. They can start to get their music featured in different spaces. And I think we'll see A&R teams really see those potential monetization strategies become much more valuable for artists of all different sizes. And the way that they're going to work together now has to be a lot more broad. It can't just be, I'm going to find this artist with the right talent and find the right songwriter and the right song and then hope that with a tiny amount of promotion, it's going to blow up, because that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way anymore. So I think we're going to see a much more kind of hybrid working system moving forward.
Great, thank you. Now, Munshi, we're speaking to a global audience today, and you've given some great insights in relation to India. But what do you think are the lessons from the Indian market that could be applied globally to redefine this discovery and sustaining and support for artists going forward?
So I feel there are a couple of things, or there are a couple of takeaways from Indian market to the world. So probably till now, what we have seen, apart from traditional classical musical genres, but there are certain corners of the world who has given us some new musical genres. So if I talk about, there was underground music from UK, there was reggae from Latin America, and the latest sensation which has been bugging us from last 5 years is K-pop. Okay, but these are the musical genres which are coming from different part of the world. And these all music genres are been pushed down into the Indian market, and they are trying to create the consumer base for these musical genres. But when I talk about India, or when I talk about India as a country with so much of vast musical backgrounds, there is musical genres in every state. There is a musical genre in different formats, languages, dialects. This is a time where it has come where we have to push these genres out to the world. That is something which I feel is very important for the time being. And the time has come for the Indian artists to go global. And there are various examples which I can say from last few years. The Indian artists have gone globally and collaborated. The Indian regional artist has gone global and collaborated with international artists. Few of them to name is Diljit Dosanjh, who is a big Bhangra or a Punjabi artist in India. Today, he has collaborated with Ed Sheeran. He has collaborated with Spanish artists. He has collaborated with, you name the international big guy, he has collaborated with. So this is what we have to push from India instead of pushing from world to India. So that is something which I feel is one of the lessons which needs to be taken from India. Secondly, the infrastructure, the ease of making transactions in this market is tremendous. Today, the digital economy has gone to another level. So these payment systems needs to be adapted. These payment systems need to be experimented in other part of the world too. UPI, we call it as Unified Payment Interface, where you can just, like you guys have Apple Pay or a Samsung Pay or something like that. In India, every small shop owner to a big guy, anybody and everybody can use UPI, and they can do a lot of the transactions through UPI. So this is something which needs to be widely used across the world on as infrastructure per se. Secondly, in India, WhatsApp is the biggest thing on social media. It is not considered only as a social media tool to connect people socially. This is a tool today widely used in India for various things. And that's the reason why Meta has introduced business WhatsApp. So what does happen on business WhatsApp? People do businesses on WhatsApp. They book their concerts, they book their events. Booking agents are live and running on business WhatsApp. So these kind of platforms needs to be widely taken care out of the country, and this can really be a game changer. And the last point, as just now Luke was saying and Yash said sometime back, there is a lot of surge happening on short video platform like TikTok and Reels. So I feel Reels has become India's new radio. So today, a music discovery is happening on Reels in this country. So, for example, if there is any artist who is putting his music with a small video on Reels, and if that really goes viral, today as a radio station, my music team is continuously monitoring reels across languages, across artists, and the music which is on the trend, we take it on air. That has become a reverse thing today. So earlier time, whatever used to go on radio used to be a trend. But now whatever is happening on reel is trending, is going on radio. So today radio has become one of the biggest, I would say, a supporter or a discovery platform thanks to this short video platform. So here, this can also be taken as one of the takeaways from this market, because a lot of Indian artists are experimenting on short video platforms today. So they need a proper distribution. So once they can distribute the music and make it available across platform, and I'm really glad Mozart Disco not only take the music to audio streaming platform, but on every social media platform. It is available on TikTok. It is available on Meta platforms of Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. Now music is started on WhatsApp also for Indians. So everywhere music is available, and discovery is something which is very important. So these couple of points which really makes a big impact today on Indian economy. That is something can be taken as a lessons from Indian market to the world.
Got it. And Yash, talk to me about your hopes for the future, particularly in terms of how technology can support independent artists like yourself in the future going forward.
Right. So I spoke a lot about data and AI helping us, navigating our way in the music scene, whether it be having control on your promotion, whether it's using marketing tools like Mozart Disco's promo tool, and having the whole navigation part of the music making being figured out by the help of data and AI. So having more control would be one thing that I would hope for in the coming days. Second is transparency in royalty payouts and streaming royalties that come to us. Now, why I'm seeing this is now I'd like to throw a few facts here. So the payout rate in India with respect to streaming royalties is really low. While we are all talking about optimistic things, the payout rate is really low in India. That is because users in India are still not ready to pay for the music, right? The West has seen this in the early days of Spotify, that users were not really, keen on paying for music. They were okay with listening to ads and having free music. The same behavior is seen in India currently. Not a lot of users are ready to pay, even if they are paying, the Spotify subscription payments are like for as good as a cup of coffee. So that really doesn't get a lot of money to Spotify. And for the amount of money they are getting, then comes the major labels, right? They have already streamlined their share with the streaming platforms as to how much royalties they're going to get and how much share they're going to get. So we as independent artists come at the last stage of the ladder, right? The royalties that are generating are, as it is, very few. The majors coming in and taking a large chunk of it. Now, from the little that we have for the independent artists, again comes the gatekeepers of the industry, so to say, in the Indian music market, right? Film producers, film music, they take away a major share. So nothing is sort of left for us down the chain to, have from the streaming royalties. Even though we're doing numbers, the streaming rate is so low that we don't really see a good churn out of royalties every quarter, right? So I'm really hoping that data and AI can bring that transparency into the scene and give us a good royalty payout. Apart from that, I am also hoping that tech helps us collaborate more and more with global artists, because when you collaborate with a global artist and when the global artist puts out the music in their specific country, the royalty rate payout is more in their country. So that way we can get more and more share. So I'm hoping to see more and more collaborations with global artists, and that is happening rightly. So as Himanshu said, right? A week back, Arijit Singh, the biggest one of the biggest playback singer in India, collaborated with Martin Garrix on a track, and it is doing tremendous numbers. So we're hoping more and more collabs like this on the global stage, and then to be able to monetize our music on a better scale. So
Great.
I'm really hopeful, but yeah.
Great. Well, look, we're in the final straight with our final few moments. So, we've got time for one question that we got from Q&A, and a quick one for Luke. When there are thousands of people submitting, it must be very difficult to find time to identify the best ones. How do you do that? Do you listen to all the live music, or have you got ways of listening?
Yeah, so we do have ways of listening, and this is where AI is absolutely amazing. Because obviously our team is largely based in the UK, and even with the amazing team at Radio City, there are so many languages and dialects that we do need a way to understand the lyrics of songs and check them. So we have a tool that we built in-house, which sits under the platform, which we call QCAI, and it is a quality control checker, and it uses some third-party systems and our own tech to basically listen to the music. And what it does is, if something fails a check, so it's not going to pass something on the Apple Star Guides, or it's not going to get onto Spotify, or the lyrics are explicit, but it doesn't have an explicit tag, or whatever the issue might be, it just flags up what it thinks the issues are to our QC team, so they can just go and focus on the exceptions. And so 95% of music that's submitted go through the steps and is fine. And then obviously we want to know which ones of those are doing really well. And if we can't listen to them all, because there are thousands and you don't have the hours in the day, what we tend to do is we see, as music goes live, we'll highlight the ones that's coming from bigger or growing artists first for the Radio City team to kind of focus in on, and then anything that does surprisingly well. So if we see an artist kind of move up the leaderboard very quickly, then that also gets flagged. And again, this is really giving independent artists routes to discoverability. That's what we're trying to do. But the way we do it is actually using real AI and some proprietary tech, because as you say, I mean, we're a team of 20 people, and the Radio City team have a big team, but there's no way we could listen to all the music coming in on our own.
Great. Well, look, we've only got a couple of minutes left. So in our closing questions, you have to give me an answer in one sentence. So, Luke, what excites you most about the future of music discovery?
I love the fact that lots of people are getting to hear amazing new music from new genres, from new cultures. And I think that's going to keep happening. And I think it's going to happen more and more.
Brilliant. Himanshu, in one sentence, what positive changes do you foresee in the Indian music industry as this technology continues to evolve?
According to me, first is explosion of regional and hyperlocal talent, which will definitely happen and which has to happen with the help of technology. Second, AI tools and data to help artists in doing analysis of their audience. And third, and the biggest, lots and lots of music export from the country to the world.
Brilliant. And yes, you have to have the final word. In one sentence, what message would you like to give to aspiring artists about leveraging technology to advance their careers?
To answer it in one sentence, to my pure aspiring artist, hold on tight, keep making the music, and get on with your entrepreneurial skills. It's about time that the majors have to stop gatekeeping. We have got the power with the tech and AI that has come in. We have got the power to promote our music and build an army of our own. So hang in tight and don't lose hopes. Yeah, we're in a very good time.
Well, I couldn't think of any better way to wrap this up as well. Thank you to Yash, thank you to Himanshu, thank you to Luke as well, and thank you to Aaron and Nicole and all the team at Music Biz Passport for this event. Really appreciate your reaching out, and do follow the links on the invite as well to find out more about Radio City and Music Disco, find out more about Yash, aka Vibey, and also finding out about Beat Chain. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Cliff.
Thank you
Thanks.
all. I
Cheers,
was
guys.
riveted. I was sitting here listening intently the entire time. So thank you for a great conversation. I greatly appreciate it. Know that from the chat, everybody else did as well. So thank you for your time. And you folks in Mumbai, it's time to sleep.
Thank you. Thank you
Take
very much,
care.
Nicole.
Thank
Bye.
you, Arun.